Hello everybody and welcome to Richard Kirby's Intercultural Space Station, where our guest today is Wayne Johnson, manager of our local Miko's Fitness Club. And our theme today is making a good thing better. Human body, the social body, the body politic. And we're going to have a particular focus on creating a fitness regimen for folks in orphanages and offer a chance to adopt a lifestyle that will resonate with those fit orphans and bring a blessing into our own life. So Wayne, thanks very much for coming from your busy schedule to be with us.
You're welcome.
You know, I've told you before that I didn't exactly grow up in a home where exercise was, how I put it, paramount. It was something, frankly, that was almost despised as what we call in England the muddy oafs and the flannel fools did, you know, like sports games, whereas, you know, we kind of like going into the library was the essence of existence. But frankly, I realized I was sold a pup. I know now that that was a terrible mistake, and I don't want other young people to have to go through that with, you know, we're not just brains, you know, we're bodies. How did you get into this whole field?
It started off with I think it was, I developed a culture for it because of the way in which I was raised. Most of my relatives were somewhat athletic, and being that you're in that certain culture, you have a tendency to follow the suit of other people. And we started off, my grandfather had a little gym in his garage, and so I'd watch my uncles work out, and from that I became interested in myself, and of course I started exercising.
I kind of envy that, I must admit. Did you come from a big family?
Yeah, I came from a pretty big family. My grandmother had, she had 8 boys and 2 girls. So I had you know, it was a huge male dominance in the house. And I also had, I had 2 other brothers and no sisters.
So you kind of had a peer group and a milieu feeling that to get fit, to get strong is natural, right?
Yes, it was.
What were the things that you would describe as the purpose of it? Like you work out, was it to feel good, to get strong, to be big, to be muscular, to be handsome? What were the kind of things?
I think it'd be a combination of both, or all 3. The most important thing, it would help us to become better at certain athletic sports that we were doing at the time. Also, we believe in longevity, so we believe that exercise will, of course, allow you to live longer, which is
and look younger when you're, you know, when you're old.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of payoffs for that, and it's like an early critical period of imprinting about what life and having a body is all about.
Exactly.
And yet here today we have an American health crisis. Here we are in Washington State, and we hear that there's a huge crisis of obesity in America, and even in child obesity as well. There's adult onset diabetes and so on. And the doctors are just wringing their hands and saying, you know, what can we do about this? And it's a recalcitrant problem. It's a resisting solution. And the people who are the people who are the customers for this are saying things like, listen, we do exercise, we got a remote control, you know, and we got a knife and fork, you know, what do you think we're doing?
Right.
So, first of all, how do you analyze, how do we get to this point, you know, in American public health, where it's hatred of exercise?
I think that what's happening is technology has robbed us from exercise. If you remember back years ago, we didn't have the technology that we do today, as far as remote control TVs, cable television, motorized lawnmowers, motorized washer and dryers. Back years ago, everything was done by hand, so our parents and grandparents, they got a lot more exercise just from doing their daily chores. Today's technology, we don't have those options, and so we rob ourselves from exercise, and it's really worse than that, is we're robbing our youth from exercise.
I suppose the technology is one part of it, and the technology seems to be steered towards the like a big head. You know, the human being is like a big head that just needs pleasure. The pleasure comes from things like controlling the environment, not from the exercise function of the body. Could it be there's like an estrangement from the body so that people don't realize that you can feel good from working out?
I think that that's probably a part of it too. I think that typically, it's like anything else, I think that people, if they don't have a knowledge of something, then it becomes an ignorance. I mean, it's one of those things where you can't really hold them. You can't hold them accountable for it. It's just one of those things that they just don't know. And I think that that's part of the problem is that there's not enough emphasis on exercising. You know, especially.
I think perhaps one of the ways of marketing things to Americans is this idea of it feels good, you know, and there's an option here. I'll tell you an example. When there's an exercise, one of the machines we have where, you know, you lift, basically you lift a bar with your knees, you know, and you can lift a number of weights. I don't know.
Core.
Yeah, okay. I find that if I do that, when I leave the gym, I feel like I'm walking on air. It's sort of bouncy. It's an amazing feeling. That is awesome. I wouldn't have guessed it. Can you explain to me how that works? So
I think what happens once you get in exercise, your endorphins kick in, and so of course there's a aerobic feeling, that you feel when you leave. To be quite honest with you, to be quite frank, exercising is not really that much fun. I think that there's a misconception. People have tendency to make it into a second job opposed to a fun but effective program. And so those are the things that we're trying to change.
So we're trying to, I want to suggest, because as you know, I've been a textbook writer for about 35 years, and I like to do mapping things out, you know, for example, in psychology. And if you see the body as a pleasure zone, and we could communicate, you know, how the feet can enjoy a workout, and, you know, the legs, the knees, calves, and so on. You know, this is a way of communicating to people that the pleasure of the body is going to cooperate with prolonging our life, it seems to me.
That's really true.
So the feel-good factor is a way to get people in, if we can consolidate that. And when you construct a gym, you have a certain architecture in mind, you know.
I think what I like to do as far as getting people interested is I like to really make them understand the benefits of exercising. You know, I think that's even more important than actually the feeling, you know, because I mean the feeling only lasts temporary, but the benefits can last, you know, long term.
I want to talk to you about those benefits, and I want to tell you, among those people who health challenges, I'm a good example. That's why I'm able to talk to you about this. You know, I'm caught in a tension between old programming and new understanding.
Right.
For example, let me tell you, I take my mind back to when I was 21, and I went and spent a summer in Greece and on the island of Crete, and I was swimming and so on. But I read this article in Time magazine about exercise, and I kind of said to myself, whoa, exercise? Exercise will shorten your life. So I had my arguments, like the heart has a number of beats, exercise and you'll shorten it and shorten your life. I had an idea that the people who exercise were some kind of cranks, just what they think about me, you know. But there's that misunderstanding. But mostly my argument was exercise is using the body, and therefore it is wearing it out like a machine, like a car. You run this body and it will wear out, it'll rust. So I don't want any exercise. How would you answer that?
There's actually some truth to that. I think that people, especially our youth, are really geared toward propaganda, media. And so they get this idea that they have to be humongous and huge in order to be better at sports, or to be look better, or just to be more accepted in society. And I think those individuals don't realize that, yes, body is like a shock absorber, and if you have a tendency to put real heavy amounts of weights on the joints, yeah, you could do that.
Well, I admire your honesty in saying that. So there's a couple of things come out of that. One is this notion about big and food. Let's face it. I mean, Eisenhower talked about the military-industrial complex. Maybe we should talk about the Burger King complex or something, because whole vast industries of America are dependent, you know, the cows and the cooks and the chefs and the restaurants are dependent on the idea that we eat huge meals.